welcome to the Right Word Podcast. My name is NN Shepard.
And I'm Josiah Firsanity.
This is a podcast where we talk about writing, reading, and occasionally Stephen King.
Maybe more than occasionally Stephen King.
Hopefully,
yes. All right, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about the business side of writing, which kind of includes marketing, social media, just keeping on top of all that kind of stuff. So NN, you have started a YouTube channel where you've done some reviews. You're doing a challenge currently. Tell me a little bit about what's that like, keeping up with that?
Yeah, I mean the goal for the YouTube channel, obviously everything is towards going towards writing and being a published author. And so I thought this is a place I could showcase my tastes in writing and as in books, as well as kind of what I like to write, and I can put a little bit of that out there, and build audience in a place where people can talk about books and writing. So for the challenge, I challenged myself to write 4,000 words every day for 30 days to see if I could get 120,000 word novel at the end of the month, and not only make the 4,000 words, but also make a video. So that the video side of things has been a lot more challenging, I think, than the writing side, because I'm more excited to write than I am to record videos about another 4,000 words. So I think that's been the most difficult thing, because the last couple of videos, like my mom and my wife were like, "Man, you seem kind of sad in these videos." like, okay, so I gotta be a little more positive, because it is fun. It is fun, but just the daily uploads, editing and filming, and the quality I think is going down in those, because it's just taking a lot. But it's a fun challenge. Just at least the writing side is very, very interesting.
Yeah, man, that's something. Sometimes I get 4,000 words in like a month, and I usually feel pretty proud of that. Not anymore, but
no, it's good. It's good. It's all good.
Now, okay, diving kind of more into the creative side here, what do you think that consistency has done for your writing? Just for this story in particular, but also just your writing in general?
Yeah, I think consistency is everything. I think for writing in general, I just think sitting down every day, or every couple days, or whatever your consistency schedule allows, to just get in that rhythm where, this is my time to write. I'm going to put words down on the page, whether that's 500 a day, 50 a day, 5,000, whatever it is. I think if you can kind of commit to something and stick to it, for me, it's been really helpful. And I think my speed has improved, and I'm a big fan of just getting all the junk out on the first draft, and putting the story down and not being too precise, because I think, in my opinion, that just slows me down if I really try to spend a lot of time and focus on getting the right words for every single sentence. And so having a big volume that I need to accomplish every single day and consistently trying to hit that, it just kind of, I don't have the time to sit there and be, precise and be super accurate. And so in that sense, I think it's beneficial, because I'm 8 days in and over 30,000 words. And so that's, it's nice, because it's like, okay, that's a chunk of the story that I maybe wouldn't have got to if I was, not as consistent and letting myself, kind of have those off days. The negative side of it, I think, is, maybe the quality isn't as good, because I'm not as precise. But my hope is that, in future edits, that stuff can be kind of ironed out, and I can cut and I can make things smaller and more concise. So, everything has a double-edged sword, a good and a bad side to it. But I think for me, I like to try to throw everything out, and then once it's done, then we can go back and fix stuff in the end.
Right, man. I'm just thinking about digging into that side too. Is that okay? Yes, you have this incredible amount of productivity that's happening in your writing every day. But for those who don't yet know, you're also taking your text of the day and putting that onto your website. So you're formatting it for your website, putting it on there so that people can see the progress that you've made. Again, you're taking the video, you're editing the video, you're doing a voiceover for the video where you're kind of explaining what's happening in the writing and stuff like that. Again, definitely go check out these videos, because at the very least, it's an inspiration towards productivity, listeners. But there's a lot of that side of thing too, and that's where the business comes in again, where it's like there's so much other stuff that's going on that it's not just being productive in the writing, but it's being productive in the business side too, where you have to upload it, format it, do this and that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, the YouTube, I'm very new to it, and so I'm still trying to figure out how all the things work and what makes for good content. I don't know that this writing challenge is the biggest content winner, especially in the infancy of my channel. I'm probably just losing any hope at getting a good spot in the algorithm. Um, but I wanted to do this challenge, so I'm just kind of fighting it a little bit. But yeah, I think for the marketing side of things, because both of us, we're trying to break into this publishing industry, and so until we have somebody that we can pay to market for us, we kind of have to do it ourselves. At least
Right.
that's how I feel.
Yep.
And so, I know you're pretty active on Threads, and you post a lot. What's your thought on that, and how do you think it's evolved from when you first started on Threads to how consistently you're posting, the frequency of that, and how your growth and outreach has become?
Yeah, I think when I first started trying to get more into the business side of writing, trying to get into marketing, trying to get into all
Mm-hmm.
that stuff, I kind of was just doing a shotgun approach where, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do Blue Sky, I'm going to do X, I'm going to do Facebook, I'm going to do Threads, I'm going to do Instagram, TikTok. So, you do everything,
Yeah.
you put everything out there, you throw everything at the wall, you start to see what sticks. For me, I think they do each serve different purposes, for sure. So, Threads, I would say, is where I'm most active. And I think part of that is it's not only marketing and business, but there's a lot of encouragement there.
Mm.
If you find the right community, if you get into the right, you get your algorithm trained,
Yeah.
you're going to find a lot of indie authors, independent authors who do self-publishing, who have their own presses, or who find these small presses and publish through them. And again, it's not traditional, right? You're not going to have these big marketing events and stuff like that, but at the same time, you're getting your work out there. And that's the thing to remember, I think, with all of this business is that ultimately it's got to be about the work, you know?
Yeah.
And again, you think about, not to dive into him too early, but Stephen King,
Mm.
he always talks about how, I mean, he's an incredibly prolific writer, right? He's
Absolutely.
written like over 50 novels, quite a few short story collections on top
Yeah.
of short stories that haven't been collected. He's
Yeah.
incredibly productive, and he was productive while he was still a teacher. His wife was working at Dunkin' Donuts. They're struggling to make ends meet, and it's like what he always said, and I think we can believe it because he did it, was that whether he ever made the big money from Carrie or not, he'd be writing. And
Right.
so it's like if you try to put the business side of things first and say, well, I have this idea for a novel, I'm going to try to market it, I'm going to get on all these social medias and get myself out there. Great, you might have a good personality, you could be an influencer,
Mm.
but you're not going to be a writer. It's
Right.
all about the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think we see that in some of the acclaimed writers who write really good work. I just recently read the first three books of Pierce Brown's The Red Rising series, and his story is interesting because he wanted to be a writer and he loves stories, and he wrote like 6 or 7 books or something and tried to get them all published. Went the querying route, the agency route, and then finally had one that worked. And throughout the whole time, he writes the first one in the process of querying, works on the second one, tries to get that one, and it's just like you said, just you have to keep doing it because he cared more about the writing and the story. And I think that's where you want to be because yeah, like you said, you could focus on just kind of making the formula right and getting this is a book that would sell and I'm really good at the sales part of it. But I think it'd be empty, and I don't think it would
Hmm.
be as it doesn't have that genuine feel to it that you can some writers you could just feel in their story they love writing, they love the process, and Stephen King is a great example of that because you can just tell he's attached to these characters that he puts down on the page.
Yeah, and something that, just to be vulnerable, something that I struggle with in terms of, I've been trying to get into book talk and TikTok and stuff like that recently, is okay, I feel like I'm starting to get better at it. My videos are getting shorter, which I think is more for the
They're great.
format. And but the only thing I'm wondering is, okay, so I'm starting to kind of find the niche, right, of
Mm-hmm.
what book talk is, what's successful, and I'm starting to do that. Some more videos that are like really quick. They're kind of going through books quick and stuff like that. And I'm wondering at what point am I? And this is going to sound dramatic,
Mm,
but at what point am I selling my soul? At what point am I matching the algorithm, matching what works?
right.
Maybe I'm getting a lot of views, more views than I used to. But again, I think it's all about the art and the artist. Are people actually watching these because it's me and I have my unique voice and something to say? Or are they watching it because it fits in the algorithm, it's entertaining? And again, where's the line? Am I being a diva about that? So there's so
No.
much more to even the emotional side of the marketing and social media than I think many people think about and realize, than I did anyway.
I think that's a really salient point and something to think about because you could think you could perceive that at some point, if everything goes well, social media, that takes up all of your time, and it could get to a point where it's I'm just a social media guy, and all I do is make TikToks, and all I do is make posts and YouTube videos, or whatever that medium is, and that becomes more than the writing because it can be. I mean, for you have to think like the professional authors, the ones who are making a lot of money and doing really well, they have a marketing team, and the marketing team's job is to market and to make these social media posts and to clip their podcasts and shorts for YouTube or whatever, and to take blurbs from their videos and yada yada. And so yeah, I think that's such an interesting thing to think about. Is like, at some point we our hope is that we get a big following, and the following lends to us being able to sell our works to people who are our fans. But where is that line? Where do we lose our writerness and just become content people?
Right. And then you get into kind of some of the theory of creativity, and it comes to, certain big name, and there are multiple, so I'm not calling anyone out, but there are multiple big name fantasy writers, for example, who have started these incredible series that
Yeah,
they took off. The series themselves blew up, these writers
yeah,
blew up, and then nothing, like
right.
we're still waiting for these final books. And I just have to wonder, like, what happened? Was it that the story ran out? Was it that they became so enamored with, okay, now they have this fame, they can
Mm.
do what they actually want to do, and maybe that's not writing? And
Mm.
I was wondering
Yeah,
about stuff like that, and how does that apply to us who are still in the trenches, who
right.
haven't yet broken through?
That's a good point. You kind of have to look at the people who are still writing a bunch
Mm,
in their respective genre, like somebody like Stephen King in the horror side of things. He'll write until he dies. I'm just convinced of it,
yep.
because he just loves writing. And if people came to him and said, "Hey, your books aren't selling any more money. They're not selling anymore. You're not making any more money," he'd still do it. He'd sit in his farm in Maine and he'd still write because he loves it. And then I think on the fantasy side, somebody like Brandon Sanderson, who writes us just a massive amount of books, massive tomes. Same thing. He has just plans to finish all these projects. And I think if he couldn't produce, financial gain from them, I think he'd still do them. Whereas, yeah, you have a couple of these other authors who have these series that people are fans of. Um, and yeah, so it is. Does that lend to, is their motive writing? Was it the story all along, or is it this was kind of a means to an end? I had this idea that was good, marketed well, got in front of people and became a big thing, and now I can do other things. Or is there too much pressure? There's just the fan expectation of, I really want the series to wrap up. It's got to wrap up a certain way. And
Right.
that, I mean,
It's
that can
got
be
to
a
be
burden. That's,
perfect.
yeah. And that's something that we have yet to experience, having a fandom that, comments and says, "Hey, here's an idea for this, and so now it's like, does that change how you write the story? Because you have all these people
Right.
talking about ideas. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a really
Yeah.
good point. That side of things, that pressure that
Mm.
adds. So I think it would be good to step back for a moment and kind of talk metrics. So, what does it
Mm.
mean to be successful? Like, I think there are varying levels of success for varying levels of writers. For
Yeah.
someone like Stephen King, when it comes to marketing and stuff like that, like you said, I don't think that's even plays into his mind because he's got
Mm.
this entire team to do it for him and he's just worried about the writing. But what about for us who, you and I each work full time jobs.
Mm.
We each have families, and we each hopefully are still writing.
Yeah.
In the midst of, you and I have started recently, kind of together, trying to get out there social media wise, marketing wise. So what does that look like for us to be successful at the point that we're at? What do you think, NN? What does it look like for you at this point?
Yeah, that's such a good question. For me, I think my goal has always been if I could support myself, and my
Mm,
family on what I'm writing. And so, at this stage, if that, I don't think the social media that I'm doing has that much monetary value. I don't expect to make a bunch of ad revenue off of YouTube or get a bunch of brand deals on TikTok. I just think it's a way to get a following and to have like-minded, interested people. And so I don't see those as avenues really of getting a ton of wealth. Not that a ton of wealth is the goal, anyways, but just like I said, something that I can survive off. And so for me, I think that's the bottom goal is, yeah, if I can, my stories can sell enough that we can survive off that and I can write full time, that's success. And then beyond that, it is what it is. So how about you, Josiah?
That's a great point. I think that is the goal for many of us who are part-time writers, is we want that to be the day job instead
Yeah.
of today, for example. I'm a locksmith, and today I was working on a car, and slowly lights start to shut down around me in the garage. I realized the owner left about 45 minutes ago. His techs are walking out now, and so I'm trying to just finish up. I'm like, okay, I'll just power through. They locked me in.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, they locked me in, and then finally I found a way out into a cold and rainy night, and it was again one of those days where I'm like, huh, I wish I were at home writing today.
Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, just to reiterate again, that's the goal for me too, is to
Right.
be able to not necessarily to be wealthy and be the
Hmm.
most famous author in the world, but to be able to support my family on what I love, on writing. But I think in kind of the short view, in terms of what does it mean for me to be successful right now in my social media, in my marketing, I think part of it is to build a community. I think at this stage, I think the biggest thing is, again, find your niche. Find, what do you write that people like? What is it about you that's unique, that's different from, okay, if you're a fantasy writer, what is it about you that's different than Brandon Sanderson? If you're horror, what is it about you that's different than Stephen King? If you're romance, what is it that's better than, I don't know any romance writers, but insert name here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have a unique voice. I think it's finding, and community is going to help you do that. Finding someone who you can send a short story to, or you can self-publish even something short like a novella. I did recently. I released a novella, and just sending that out to a bunch of people, even for free, or putting it available again, self-publishing, getting
Mhm.
some feedback. What did they like? What did they not like? Is it doing well? All kind of stuff like that. I think right now is kind of the goal for me, is just try to build a solid foundation, a community, a small group of quote unquote fans
Mhm.
who like what I do and can hopefully tell me what is it that they like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great goal. Yeah, and you mentioned your novella there, the Kindle publishing side. What did that look like? What was the process there, going from the Google Doc to a physical published novella?
Yeah. It was in some ways simpler than I thought,
Mm.
and in some ways more complicated. I
Okay.
think, yeah, in terms of the site, it's super easy to navigate. That's one of the easiest things in the world, is if you're going through Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, the site's super easy to navigate. I think it's been around for a while. A lot of people have used it. They kind of honed it. It's Amazon, right? One of the biggest
Hmm.
companies in the world.
Yep.
So it's super easy to just find, okay, here's where you put your title. Here's how much you want it to be. They're going to tell you how much is your cost if you're doing a print copy. They're going to tell you, all that kind of stuff that you need to know. They're going to make it really easy. In terms of the formatting stuff, that gets a little more difficult. Formatting, getting it from a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word document or whatever you're using,
Yep.
you have to download a separate specific app formatted a certain way. The cover stuff gets even more complicated to me personally. I'm not an artist, so I kind of have to find free stock images and stuff like that, and do the design of the text and the logo and all this kind of stuff. I did that all myself. Although I'm very excited for my short story collection that I hope to release next year. I actually have a local artist who has agreed to do some commission work and do some custom made art. So
Very
I'm excited
very
about that.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
very
pretty
exciting.
cool. But yeah, in terms of all that kind of stuff, that's super easy. What gets difficult is, again, marketing, right?
Mm.
Because, okay, so now you have this ebook or you have this print book that's available. Now, how do you sell it?
Yeah.
Of course, there's friends and family. I probably had 15 copies that sold to friends and family. That my wife helps me with the social media stuff. She posted on Facebook. I wasn't even gonna, because I was like,
Mm.
it feels cheap. Um, but she posted on Facebook, so friends and family bought copies and stuff like that. But at this point, I'm actually up to 109 sales,
Yeah, that's
um,
awesome.
which is really exciting for me, because it's like, okay, so if 15 are friends and family, that means like 90 something
Right.
aren't.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was threads. And again, I had by that point found a good community that was really supportive of indie authors. Look up that hashtag indie authors. You're going to find a lot of people who want to support other indie authors, who want to read stories that aren't by the big names, that they want to find people from the grassroots. So I think again, finding your community. You can do promotions. I did. Kindle has a free book promotion, so I did for 5 days. I offered the ebook for free. So again, I don't expect to make any money on this novella,
Yeah.
but I love this novella. I believe in this novella. I
Mhm.
think that it shows some of who I am. It shows a good sample of my writing. So I want to get out there as much as possible, have as many people read it. And again, going right back to what I said, is with this one, I'm really just trying to build the foundation. I'm trying to
Yeah.
find, quote unquote fan base so that when I start to release things that I hope to make a little more money on, I know at least I'll have that foundational support from my group of friends or TikTokers or whatever that
Yeah.
I've built to
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's, first of all, the success of it is really, really cool. I think, we think of numbers in the tens, multiple of tens as milestones, so you hit 100. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, it sounds like the marketing, having that community on Threads was really helpful. Do you think having something like this makes you more attractive to traditional publishing? In future queries and future conversations with agents, you can say, "Hey, I have this. I have a sample of what my success could be or could look like because there is 109 people who have been interested in my work." Do you think that has value in that future querying space?
TBD.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure yet. There are quite a few literary agents who are on Threads and who are willing to answer questions that you
Mm.
have. And I did ask that. There was one literary agent who made a post about, hey, send me your questions about the traditional publishing industry, about agenting, stuff like that. And so I asked her, like, hey, does having a self published book that has sold a good amount of copies, does that help when you're an agent looking at it? And she said, really, it depends on the agent. Some agents will
Mm.
look at that and say, hey, this person has initiative. This person is able to self promote. They have a fan base already. Some agents will look at it and kind of breeze over it, like, oh, okay, that's cool, but it has nothing to do with how I'm going to be able to sell their book.
Mm.
So I think it's a personal agent by agent thing. That being said, every query that I've put out since for my debut novel, I've included that for sure. And I've
Yeah.
included the
Yeah.
amount of copies sold, just hoping that uh, that will do something. So I'm putting that on there. I just recently made a website, which you did too, which we should definitely
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit in terms of websites. But I'm putting my website on there. I'm putting my self-published novella on there. I'm putting all my socials on there because
Yeah.
again, you want to build that foundation and you want to show any potential agents, publishing companies, whatever. Hey, I'll take part in this. Like that's you guys' job to market, but you're not going to be alone in it. Like I'm
Right.
happy to help with that. I believe in my book. I believe in my writing enough. I'm already doing it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, I mean, I don't have any experience in the marketing, the professional marketing side, the, publication side, but logically it seems like to me that, an agent or a publishing house would look at somebody who is making an attempt and see that as, okay, this is a real person who is invested in this thing. It's not just because I mean, they talk about the slush pile. I imagine they just, people get thousands and thousands of novels that are, half baked, not worth looking at. Maybe the first 3 pages are good because somebody edited it really well, but then the fourth page is garbage because they just didn't get the rest of it. Um, and um, and so I imagine there's just a lot of that. And so we are fighting a big pile of stuff to look through. And some of it's gold, some of it is absolutely is gold that will get missed, just because there's just a lot of options. And so in my mind, if I was somebody in that position looking through stuff and I saw an email and it said, "Hey, this guy, here's what I'm active on. Here's what I'm trying to do. I'm showing you that I'm a real person who, takes this seriously." That to me all seems like valuable things. Again, like you said, it's to be determined. We don't know yet. But from my point of view, on a logical standpoint, it seems like it would help. I think.
No, yeah, well said. I mean, logically, that just makes sense. Now, in terms of the website, what do you think are some of the benefits of that, of having done that?
I think for me, I started it initially as a place to showcase this novel challenge because I was trying to figure out a good way to put that up online. I didn't want to just share my Google Docs link. That seemed like a bad idea. So I thought, okay, a website is professional. It's like all these other things. It's something that I can use to prove that I am trying to make this serious. And so, I've got a page on there for the novel. and that just gets uploaded or updated every single day as new chapters get put out. And then I've got a page for short stories that I've written that aren't published anywhere. They're just short stories that I've written. And then an about me page. And it's pretty bare bones. There's nothing special about it. I'm not a professional marketer. I'm not a professional website designer. So it's just, use Squarespace. It's just simple. It's, I tried to make it as easy to move around as possible. But my hope is, that it looks like it's something real, and people can, click on it from my YouTube or whatever, and they can say, oh, this is an author's website. It says right there, reading, writing, creating. Here's an about page. He's an author. That sort of thing. Trying to be professional, and just the goal, I think, is traditional publishing. If indie publishing makes sense down the road, I don't have any problems with that. But I would like to be attractive to those big publishers, and so to me, this seems like something that would help.
That's a great point, is the legitimacy, the professionality behind just having a website with your name on it. That is a really good point too, that I would be curious again how much that would play into an agent looking, is to say, okay, they put all this work into a website, they have this real practical thing, you can Google them and boom, there they are.
Yeah. Plus, we own those domains now. And so if we get published and they want to make an actual professional website, well, they don't have to spend all the money that some scalper, oh, this guy's going to be big, want to buy JosiahFirstName.com, and now they owe somebody, $50,000. No, it's
boom,
it's already in house. That's right. You saved the money. So
that's right. And then let's close with this. What are you reading? What are you writing? What's going on?
I'm currently reading Sabriel by Garth Nix. It's pretty short, but it's been my gym read, so I'm just reading at the gym. And then I've got, I forget the name of it. It's escaping me. It's by Ursula K. Le Guin. It's a movie. It's a book about dreams. Can't believe it's not in my mind right now, but it's good. It's good so far. I'm very close to the end of it. And then writing, I'm obviously writing this 30-day challenge. I have yet to determine the name of it. My initial name when I was thinking of it, it was called The Colors of the Fox, but I don't know I don't know if that really is what the book is. It sounds maybe a little more lighthearted than the story is. So it's yet to be named, but that, again, you can find that on my website. The first 19 or 20 chapters are up. So follow along with the characters there. But that's where I'm at. How about you, Josiah?
Sweet. Well, real quick, how can people find your website? Just search NN Shepherd. Is it nnshepard.com or
nnshepard.com? Yep.
Sweet. All right, we'll put that. We'll put some links there for everybody to see, socials and all that. I am reading Memorials by Richard Chismar, which is an incredible read. It's slow burn, super creepy. Once it starts to pick up, it picks up. So really enjoying that. Hopefully finish it within the next couple of days. And then also going through An Unfinished Life. It's a biography of JFK by Robert Dallek. It's my favorite president, and this is just further confirming it. So nice. I like to try to mix it up. I love stories, right? So I love real people stories and stuff. So he was a fascinating guy. So enjoying that a lot. In terms of writing, I am writing a maybe short story, maybe novella, maybe novel called The Game. And again, that's very cool. Very creepy one. NN has read some of it. And,
it's very good. Very intriguing.
You have to say that. We're on a podcast.
No. I'm honest. I'm an honest guy.
No, but it's it's exciting. It's fun. I just got back yesterday as well to a novel that I had started May of last year that I was really excited about it. I love the idea. I think it's a great idea, but it just fell apart. And I just got some ideas over the past couple of days. And I am procrastinating as hard as I can to not sit down and write it, but I'm trying to force myself to push past that. So maybe that's a good topic for next time.
Yeah, there you go. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to The Right Word.
We'll see you next time.